None of our major companies have given any indication that they're going to leave the jurisdiction. I think there's been some well-documented merger and acquisition activity. So if you have two companies where collectively they had 500 people, if you push two companies into one, they're not going to have 500 people. So there will be the degree of rationalization, downsizing, redundancy, which is always regrettable, particularly in individual cases. I know you ran a story about Mansion. Mansion has been talking to me for a number of weeks. Their owners have made a decision not to invest in the Gibraltar-based business any further. I think that's a mixture of business decision and other factors that have found themselves into the press. You also, I think, gave a number of potentially 200 redundancies. Again, any individual redundancy is regrettable, but I think when Mansion initially announced that they would be closing their business down, we were looking at 50 people. Naturally, some of those people during a consultation period have gone off and got themselves jobs within the industry. And finally, we were looking at some 30 redundancies.
Aside from Mansion's closure, the merger you referred to between 888 and William Hill, with companies downsizing, companies leaving, what gives you an indication that this is still an attractive jurisdiction? Are there applications for new licenses? Do companies want to operate in Gibraltar?
Merger and acquisition activity is not just a primarily Gibraltar issue. It just happened to be a commercial decision that those two companies made. And when you get merger and activity, you always get rationalisation and downsizing. But all of those larger companies have recently reiterated to me that they see Gibraltar as an important gambling hub for them. So again, I don't lay awake at night and worry that the industry is in decline. In fact, we've had a pipeline of B2B and B2C licenses that have gone through the system. And in fact, we're also talking at the moment to a large challenger brand that has the intention to license in Gibraltar, and that's something that will be put to the Minister for consideration in due course.
Is Gibraltar anticipating any other closure of a company?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I can't name names, but we do have a startup in Gibraltar that's notified me that, again, it is having problems in building the markets that it intended to build. And therefore, I think you might expect in the fairly near future that there will be an announcement of a closure of another relatively small operator.
We have recently got the news that Gibraltar is very likely to be removed from the FATF grey list. Do you think being put on the grey list to begin with will have had an impact on this industry as well?
I think the answer is we don't know what we don't know. We don't know whether or not it's prevented any input investment or not. I suppose on the basis that we have a queue of licensees wanting to come into Gibraltar, that's encouraging. So it hasn't stopped the interest in Gibraltar as a licensing centre.
Gaming has traditionally been a pillar of Gibraltar's economy. When you look to the future, do you think this will continue to be the case?
Yes, I do. I mean, we've got a new Gambling Act on the way. The new legislation creates more flexibility. I think the new Gambling Act will create more categories of license, will encourage other people to come and be licensed here. So actually, I think there's a positive indication, and I'm very optimistic for the future. Things are always going to be changing all of the time, and a regulator's job is to try and keep on top of that change. But overall, there is cause for optimism.